Let me start by saying that the wealthy should be taxed at 90%. In this video, I'll tell you some reasons that I think you should agree with me. First of all, your chance of becoming rich may seem fair, but no matter how far below your means you live, no matter how much you increase your income or how consistently you invest, you will not become one of them. In reality, there is this vicious cycle, a cycle where the wealthy are buying assets before you'll ever have the opportunity. And with time, those assets grow in value, making the gap between where you are and what wealthy is even wider. Wealth is like a banquet, and as the wealth divide grows, the same few people get served over and over before you've even taken a bite. And then by the time the server reaches you, the only thing that's left is a moldy, stale piece of bread. Your stomach growls with hunger while the rich will eat well beyond their fill. Taxing the rich is akin to ensuring that everybody at the table gets a nourishing meal. Oh my gosh, I can see the comments now. The rich will leave if there's a tax. Wealth taxes are too hard to implement, so why bother? They earn the money, so they should keep it. They'll evade the tax anyway. People would invest less if we tax their earnings. Some people are considered wealthy because of their assets, but they're actually cash poor. They can't afford the tax. The government is corrupt. They don't need more money. It costs way too much to implement a wealth tax. It's unconstitutional. There are probably a ton more arguments that I didn't think of, but these videos are bite-sized, so I can only talk about so much in less than 15 minutes. If you think of other reasons why we should tax the wealthy, put them in the comments. If you're not a billionaire, this tax isn't about you. If you're an aspiring billionaire, this tax isn't about you either. Because let's be real, the billionaire class is a club and you just don't meet the requirements. You see, joining the Billionaires Club involves more than just money. You need access to investment deals not available to the public. You have to be able to share your connections and opportunities to help them expand their wealth. You must be able to detach emotionally. Oh, and you have to remember this. Your loyalty is to your class. Once these prerequisites are met, you may be able to start visiting the clubhouses in Davos, Aspen, and Monaco. This video is inspired by a comment on my video called "This is Giving Malicious Compliance." Robin says, "Hello, fellow expat. I follow you, and since you've asked what we'd like you to dig into, I would like to hear your thoughts on how we could reinstitute the tax levels of the 1950s and 60s on the very wealthy. They will fight tooth and nail, and we'd have to win landslide elections. But if we did, how would you envision that such a tax structure could work? And what sort of distribution would you like to see? How would you fight the myth of wealth flight? I have heard that in Canada, they impose a parting tax for those wealthy individuals who choose to leave the country permanently. Could we do something like that?" I'm going to break this down in two videos. First, let's talk about arguments people make against wealth taxes. If you're new here, I'm Kina. I talk about hard things with a soft voice. Subscribe, select to be notified when the part 2 of this video is published. And thank you to everyone who's bought me a coffee. I am truly grateful for your support. As an American living abroad, I can attest that I am still responsible for paying US taxes if I earn over a certain amount. Every year, I have to jump through hoops with my banks to make sure I provide the proper paperwork so I can avoid Uncle Sam's ire. So unless they renounce citizenship, they will still pay taxes. Suppose they do renounce their citizenship. Good riddance. Let's charge them an expatriation tax when they go. The wealthy will offshore their assets to avoid taxes. They already do it. Like with any new business division, staffing needs to be beefed up. There are so many internet sleuths who would be fantastic at finding the money, especially now that much of it is digital. Not just the money, though. Money movements are digital, yes, but physical assets also leave a digital footprint. Instead of these online detectives finding things for internet lore, they can find the money that the ultra wealthy hide. Determining the value of an individual's assets can be costly, but we have better technology that can significantly reduce many administrative costs and complexities. Frankly, much of billionaire wealth is in public securities, which don't require an appraisal. A simple average of the securities price during their ownership within that year would probably suffice. And please don't comment about the potential for stock price manipulation when the whole tech industry right now is based on circular financing. I want wealth taxes to discourage investment in our politicians. The more money these people have, the more people they buy. They choose not to invest in research to develop the next solution. They aren't investing in their staff. They aren't improving their facilities. They are just buying elections. So it's easier for them to hoard more money. So, yes, let's discourage investment. A wealth tax would affect fewer than 1% of households. But let's imagine if, insert billionaire's name, trades in all of their personal assets for non liquid assets. They take all of their cash, money in checking and savings accounts, money market accounts, stocks, bonds, treasury bills, CDs, index funds, and their ETFs, their Cash App, their Venmo, their PayPal too. And they spend it all to buy non-liquid assets. They buy properties, land, vehicles, art, antiques, jewelry, and other hard to sell things. They can defer their tax until they sell enough to cover what they owe. We'll wait. And if they can't manage to sell it, we can help them. Let's take what's useful. It could be that building that they have that's sitting there empty. We could fill it with affordable apartments. People don't create wealth alone. Your taxes built and continue to subsidize their wealth accumulation. Your taxes pay for the roads that their trucks drive on. Your taxes pay for the courts that decide who can compete for business. Their wealth depends on public infrastructure, and they have to contribute more because they use it excessively. The government is corrupt. It's bought and paid for by billionaires who prefer not to pay taxes but are willing to pay for politicians. Why wouldn't you want to reroute that money? That money could instead be used for public investment in health and education and infrastructure, among other areas. It could be unconstitutional if it were framed as a wealth tax. So let's do what the billionaires do. Make the politicians frame it differently. Call it an excise tax, like the ones you pay for plane tickets or for tobacco. In this case, it would apply to things like yachts or vacation estates, margin loans, unrealized gains above a certain threshold. Most of these reasons not to have a wealth tax are actually reasons not to try to implement one. I see it online all the time. A wealth tax would fail. How will we know if we never try? There's a chance you'll get a stomach ache, but you probably had lunch today. Think of a wealth tax as a way to nourish our economy. We've been listening to economists for years on the harmful impacts of taxing the ultra wealthy more. Most of them work for the ultra wealthy. I'm not an economist. I'm just a lady who makes YouTube videos in her spare bedroom. I'm also a person who's watched money move from the hands of the many into the pockets of a few. So maybe we should try something different. There are so many concepts for this idea that I'm going to talk about in the next video, but let's take a page out of the billionaire's playbook and try a little class solidarity. The wealthy, they have it. But before we can have it too, we have to get over ourselves. We need to get rid of our isms and our phobias because the last time I checked, violence and depravity aren't against the rules for the elite. They often use people like you and me to achieve their aims. It's likely the reason that many people think that the rich don't need a wealth tax. Narratives that shape public opinion are often driven by corporate interests. It's why I use Ground News. It's an app, it's a website, and it combines news from around the world in one place so that you can compare the coverage. They even have a blind spot feed that highlights news disproportionately covered by one side of the political spectrum. I started using Ground News to help me see what's going on in the US. For every news source, you can see if they have a political bias or how reliable their reporting is and who actually owns them. Use my link in the video description to get 40% off of the Vantage subscription, the one I use for unlimited access to every feature. Your subscription, it doesn't only help you get news from thousands of sources worldwide, in one place, but it also helps support ground news as it makes the media landscape much more transparent. Remember to subscribe to this channel so that you can see a part 2 of this video. Also, YouTube wants you to watch this next. I'll see you soon. Okay,